Together our presentation. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here tonight. Um, you're at U.S. History, and my name is Mark Vanover, and I'm proud to be your student's teacher this semester. I'm really glad that I get to be their teacher when we first come back to school in person, and it's so nice to be here in person, to see everybody here and actually be in the room with the students. And um, as we're all kind of going through the adjustments, we never thought there would be adjustments to actually getting back to school in person, like there are. But we all we're all a little rusty after being away from each other in a normal schedule for the last year. So it's been interesting and been kind of fun, and we're all kind of in it together, is the way I put it. So. I'm thrilled to be back and to meet your kids. Let me tell you just a little bit about me, because I'm that guy that's seeing your kid for 90 minutes a day, every day. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of my background. I've been in public education for 24 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long at all. My 17th year in the San Diego Union High School District, and my 11th non-consecutive year here at CCA. So I was actually here for the first social science teachers that came to the school when we first opened. We don't get ninth grade social science, so we came when they're for the first 10th grade class. And me and myself and one other teacher were the first two teachers here for the department that are still around. So I did go to La Costa Canyon for about 6 years to be an assistant principal, because some people, some higher ups at the district office kind of talked me into that. And I decided I didn't like that anymore. So I came back to being a teacher in the classroom. I'm much happier. I'm originally from Illinois, from an area not far from Chicago, a small town. And we moved to Arizona when I was in 8th grade. And so I went to high school, college there. I've always wanted to be a teacher since I can remember, but definitely since 5. So I set out to do this. This was my career goal. Attended Arizona State University, where I double majored in history and social science, or I'm sorry, in history and secondary education, with a minor in political science. So I kind of eat this stuff up. Like I always tell the kids, I'm a history nerd. So. And I started teaching in my career at Desert Vista High School in the Tempe Union High School District in the Phoenix area. A lot of people know that school. I'm really actually surprised about it. So I just kind of dropped that in there. I went to National University for my master's degree, and I have an administrative services credential. And my specialization is U.S. history. It has been the subject I've taught the most in my teaching career. And I really seem to have a knack for it, according to my superiors. So let me tell you a little bit about what we learn here, what the curriculum entails, and how it's all set up. So we have set it up as a University of California qualified college prep course. So there are certain standards that are audited and have to be met. We have to make sure that we offer students consistent reading from texts, that we provide them with higher expectations that will allow for a better transition for them to go from high school to college, should they apply to the University of California system. Our class meetings are basically set up with, I try to do things that keep the students involved with discussions, either hands-on activities or interaction in a collaborative manner. Sometimes there's a lecture, and I put yuck there because I hate lecturing to students. I try not to do it when I can. It's usually a way of getting through things as fast as possible if we need to. So we also do analysis of historical documents. So we try to emphasize what they call the historical thinking skills. So a lot of times we're looking at things like historical context, or maybe the purpose of the document, or the point of view of the author, to get them interested in looking at the actual documents from the time, as opposed to just what their history book says. We also do an intro to academic writing. So what we try to do is to do some sort of standards aligned writing assignments, short writing assignments, not big, long papers or essays, but trying to help students develop their skills in argumentation and support. especially with regard to historical topics, it can be very interesting for them to actually not just regurgitate what happened, but maybe actually think critically about what happened, why it happened, and what was involved with it, and make some reasoned historical judgments. So it's always fun for me to see them start to do those sorts of things, because ultimately what this is about is trying to teach students to be critical thinkers, no matter what their career path is. They'll need that skill in the workplace. That's what colleges and universities and employers constantly emphasize, that they'd like to see their employees in the workforce have more of, is critical thinking skills, and learning to think in ways that transfer just beyond the curriculum. They're going to use historical thought or historical thinking skills in ways that aren't just about learning a nation's history. They might be learning about, how did this get to be this? And if I'm in business and want to replicate this, what steps got us here, and how do we make sure we do that again? Or what is this? How did we get this? And if I'm, say, in medicine, I might want to learn what things were involved that allowed this to develop, so that we can teach people not to have that happen again. So, I mean, these skills transfer into many diverse areas. And so ultimately, I want a student to walk away not so much remembering some fact about the 19th Amendment, but more about how they can use these skills to become critical thinkers. We study, basically, our emphasis is mostly on the 20th century, with some review. What we're doing right now in class through next week is reviewing the early stuff. I call it the 8th grade review, because those concepts are taught in their 8th grade. And we try to take them from the turn of the 20th century, so the late 19th century, when industrialization starts to be a thing. And we try to take them through as close, I always say, as close to now as we can get. Generally, we find that we get them through Nixon, Watergate, Vietnam, maybe Ford and Carter, but we don't know. And I try to get them to at least Ronald Reagan. So, but we try to get there. There's a lot of content that gets packed into a semester. So we try to make sure that we at least get as close to now as we can, and hit some of the more formative topics of where our nation got to be where it is today, including looking at the 1918 flu pandemic, because it's been so underemphasized that people, don't really even have anything. They don't have it. They've never been equipped with even thinking about how to navigate through times like we're living in. So we've decided to add that into the curriculum to some extent, because it also might explain the Roaring 20s. When people try to think about that, jazz age, Great Gatsby, flapper kind of stuff. You'll see your students doing reading assignments, because they are preparing for a bell work assignment that they'll have in class the next day. I give them some note guides that they are encouraged to use for note taking, but they don't have to turn those in. That's part of that college preparatory feel to the course. But it's developed to help them synthesize information from their textbooks, which is also designed to try to reinforce things that they're learning in class. And then they do in-class homework assessments on that. So it could be a vocabulary exercise, or it could be some sort of short writing assignment. They can take on some different forms. You'll see lots of different graphic organizers that are designed to help them with, a lot of times with students might find them useful for some of those cause and effect, step-by-step things that happen in history. We'll have viewing assignments. So that's all the rage. So sometimes we'll give them something that they can look at in advance. In fact, that usually is to try to help replace me lecturing, so that they tend to find them a little more interesting. I like to do some class discussions and involve them as much as possible as well. And there's mini presentations. So mini presentations are like maybe mini little analytical assignments, or what we call acted outs. There's a favorite I have when it comes to the Depression, where they make up these little sketches about how the Depression affected various groups of people in the United States. And so those are actually kind of fun and make them enjoy class a little more than just if we took notes all the time. So you'll hear from me through Aries. I post on Aries roughly every other week. I do updates. There's the progress report system that we have. And then, of course, if I need to reach out, I definitely will. But don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I especially am interested in hearing from you if there's been some grade issue you'd like to have monitored, or if there's been anything in your students' past that might, just clue me in to keep an eye on them. So if there's a time where they might slip, I can try to catch them as they're slipping as opposed to after the fact, and try to remediate and make sure that they have some success along the way, because that's my ultimate goal, is that your students are successful, especially as we come back and navigate trying to return to some sort of pandemic normal. You can contact me. The best way to get me is on email. I have a website, but with the Google Classroom, I don't really have much on the website anymore. And we can do meetings at any time. In fact, with the video format, it actually adds a lot more flexibility for you and I to meet if we need to. Or you can come in person if you'd like. But definitely schedule that with me in advance so that I can make sure I can devote my attention and not necessarily have students here in the classroom or something where I've got to shoo them off and that sort of thing. And that way we can definitely do whatever we need to do to be a team together to help our students be successful, because that's ultimately what it's about. And I've only gone 2 minutes over, so I will stop because I know you need to go to your next class. I want to again thank you for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to see you, and I hope to hear from you if you'd like to reach out. And I'm confident we'll have, however this semester rolls and unfolds, I'm confident we'll have a productive and successful semester all around. So thanks so much for coming, and have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.